Please be seated. We say that about thinking, yet chairs have only been in common use for 500 years. Before that, be seated meant sitting on the floor. And that's still the case for many cultures today. We don't know who invented the first chair, but it was probably an ancient Egyptian some 5,000 years ago. These early chairs were not for the common people, but were thrones reserved for gods. To depict Pharaoh on a chair was to show him powerful, victorious, and above all, his divinity. Today's gospel is all about who sits where. The two brothers, James and John, desperately want a privileged seat. They pester Jesus with their request. Grant us to sit, one at your right hand and one at your left, in your glory. We probably feel the request was a bit presumptuous, but perhaps it didn't come out of the blue. Mark doesn't report it, but in Matthew's Gospel, Jesus promises the 12, when the Son of Man is seated on the throne of his glory, you who have followed me will also sit on 12 thrones. So, for fun, let's look at the Bible and find out who is sitting on what. First, Solomon. His story is a saga of plots and intrigue as various contenders compete to become the next king of Israel. The tale concludes with the seating arrangement which reveals David's true heir. Solomon sat on the throne of his father David, and his kingdom was firmly established. A very different seat is used by Rachel in Genesis 31. She and her husband Jacob have done a runner from her father Laban. In their escape, Rachel has nicked her father's household gods, small stone statues. We don't know their exact significance, but it seems likely that whoever possessed them could claim to be Laban's true heir. Laban catches up with the couple and furiously demands to search their tent for the missing idols. Rachel sneakily hides these idols in a camel's saddle and then sits on it. Furthermore, to prevent them searching her makeshift chair, she claims she is in her period and she can't get up. Her cunning means that the theft goes undiscovered. Whether it is sitting on a throne or sitting on a camel's saddle, both stories are about gaining a rich inheritance. Back to today's gospel. The apostles James and John are not condemned for their ambition, but for underestimating the difficulties of gaining their desired seats. Jesus challenges them. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with? The drink is the bitter cup of suffering that Jesus faces in the Garden of Gethsemane before his crucifixion. The baptism is his submersion in the waters of death. James will indeed drink that cup and be immersed in that baptism, for he will become the first apostle to be martyred when King Herod Agrippa has him beheaded. The brothers are not denied a seat in glory, but they must first accept the difficult path to get there. The letter to the Hebrews also refers to Jesus as sitting on the throne of grace. However, that writer also insists he learnt obedience through suffering. If Jesus' path to victory involves service and suffering, how much more so must it be the way of his followers? For the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. The two sons of Zebedee are warned that they may not be sitting on the right hand and left hand of Jesus, but that doesn't mean they won't be seated in glory. We face the same challenge. We must be willing to serve. Our victory must be to struggle and overcome difficulties. But we also have the same promise. By grace, Christ invites us to sit with him and share in his divine life. Next time we sit down, remember that we too are called to serve, but that our destiny is the throne of glory. Unlike his brother, John lived to a ripe old age. Tradition has it that he is the inspiration behind the book of Revelation. So let me finish with a quote from that book attributed to John. The risen Lord speaks to his people. Anyone who is victorious, I will allow to share my throne. Amen.